Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Strictly Broken Brews. I'm your host Christian Jahrbacher, and today we're going to talk about Brew. And originally, first of all, I'm sorry for uploading this a day late, but yesterday I was in Germany for a concert and didn't really have time to record. So instead, I did it the next day in the morning, which is today. But we plan to do rewrite. I plan to do rewrite with another person. And we did that, and then I found out that OBS didn't record, so that was kind of awkward. And then the other guy had to go, so now I'm just gonna do the love room. Since I got the stats from Connor for the invite, sadly he's a lazy bum and didn't do the actual representation yet, which would put a lot of this more into context. But if we just look at the topping things, I've talked about Kimono, ReZero, Vivid. I didn't talk about Persona, but there's somewhat in-depth, a pretty in-depth Persona cast from Pots and Coconuts and Thomas, which I guess I'll link in it. Well, you'll find it. I talked about Go Choose, I talked about Love of Sunshine. Rewrite is gonna happen soon, and then those kind of fall off anyway. The rest. Yeah. So it's a love room. I'm actually only gonna talk about the Yamikan version of the deck, but I'm gonna talk about different variations on this deck. I'm only going to talk about one topping list here. Because the deck usually doesn't have that many differences between the versions. There was one Nemesis deck that topped, but I don't think that's like going to be the best deck in the deck that you'll actually see. So I'm just going to talk about Yamikan, different variations of those. First of all, the topping list, for which I deliberately picked a more stock list than some I've seen. I've actually seen a very good list, but that one wasn't complete. It only had like 40 cards or something on Hearts of Cards, so I couldn't take it. Yeah, then I'll talk about how my version of the deck looks. And then I'm going to talk about two variations of this deck, which is going to go more into the brewer side of this video series. Yeah, let's say that. Okay, so first of all, we have the topping list from LEF from the Phoenix Regional. Level 0 is going to look very similar for a lot of these lists, but for a lot of the standard level lists, but a notable omission here is the 0-0 run, which I'll talk about later, which is, I think, one of the centerpieces that holds like this deck together and helps it keep up with the modern metagame, because it does a lot of things that are really important right now. Instead, she's playing 3 copies of the Chaser, oversized Chaser. Because if you're 2 less stock, it's 3/5 and you can run in front of other characters. I don't particularly like this kind of oversize. I think it's actually kind of but since on-reverse combos are getting more popular again, it is an option for you, since it sometimes allows you to play around on-reverse combos. Not always, but sometimes, and it's just an oversize, plusing level 0 as well. Yeah. Rest of the level 0 lineup is fairly standard. You have the anti-salvage assist. You have the Brainstorm, which is one of the best cards in the deck because it also hand fixes you. You have 2 copies of the Drop Searcher. You usually only see 1 or no copies. Just makes the deck more consistent. She's also running 2 copies of the event. Usually, if you run 2 copies of the event, you only run 1 Drop Searcher. And if you run 2 Drop Searchers, you only run 1 event, since those kind of fill the Similia slot. The reason why what the Drop Searcher also allows you to do is, if you play the event, you search for Transformation and Housework character. So you can search for 1 copy of your level 1 combo, and then search for the Drop Searcher, and with the Drop Searcher, search for your 2nd copy of the level 1 combo. So it just gives you a lot of flexibility. Shit. Sorry. I knocked something down. Yeah. Okay. Level 1. Well, this is actually not that stock, but a bit boring, I guess. It's just 4 copies of the climax combo, 4 copies of the 500 for every other character, 2 copies of the very good assist. It's like 500 and hand on court to front. And when you play the bar, you can assign 2k, and the bar is the same bar as the Shimakaze, which is a part of the reason why this deck is so strong is that you just hit 9k with your reverse combo because you play this card. You hit 9k on 2 lanes if you also come to play 1/5 that turn, which is a lot. And the combo is on a bar, and this gives hand on core in front. So what happens is oftentimes you get a second bar, and you just hand on core the Shimakazes, and then you just use the bar again. So you can keep doing your climax combo and keep getting 3+, which is a really strong engine. 2k counters, because 2k counters help you in field and are randomly pretty good. 2 copies of the Mea. You usually run either the Mea or the 2/1 Mikan. I think the Mea is a bit better right now, even though the Mikan gains power till the end of opponent's turn, because the Mea is 1k bigger baseline. 1k or 1/5, I'm not sure. 1/5 actually, yeah, 1/5. Which is relevant against some decks right now. So that you don't need to play a climax, or don't need to play specifically the bar to actually get counter safe over some early plays. But, well, not but there's more to this, to the early play thing. Level 3 lineup is, I'll talk about it when I get to the events. Level 3 lineup is simple for Yami, which is like center, like why this deck. Another one of the reasons why this deck is so strong, because it's just an uninteractable hexproof finisher that still finishes through compression. It's not an explosive finisher, but it's a consistent finisher that will basically always deal 4 damage or 5 damage. Well, not always 5, but it has like an 85% chance to deal 4 damage against the 18-25 opponent, which is pretty good compression. And you have 1 copy of the Mea. This is coming to play check top X the amount of characters. So this basically helps you fetch either money counter or anti-damage or the climax for Yami. And 1 copy of the heal, which is just here to heal. Events are the double search event. The search event just gives you a lot of flexibility in just fixing your hand. Usually you use it to search out your level 1 climax combo, and then either the 1/1 back row, or the power pump, or the rope searcher, or Yami if you like don't need the other cards. Then you have 3 of the money counter. This is another critical part of the deck, because money counter allows you to basically go for 2 turn kills, since you just have to expect, quote-unquote, expect 2 attacks from the opponent since you're blanking 1. Obviously, against some decks this doesn't work, like in the mirror, but this is a very powerful effect, one of the best events that ever got printed in this game, and every set... Actually, no, since SAO might not use it, but like usually this is powerful enough to include in every set if it doesn't like conflict heavily in your game plan. In this case, it actually feeds very well into your game plan, because you can go... you can field your first turn at level 3, you can field 2 Yamis, do double combo. Next turn, you encore them both with a 1/1 assist. And the next turn, you either play a Mea, or maybe you held a second wind or something. And then just do the combo again, because you survived because of the money counter, which is a really powerful play, because you get 2 strong finishing turns. And you can actually, like, this is actually what you can go for, and like, if you had a good game, you can even do things like go double Yami and whatever, play wind, and then do 2 money counters. Because actually, if you do double Yami, you only need 7 stock at the start of your tech step. To do double money counter, and then encore both Yamis. And if you happen to win another time, you most often win. And then we get to a key card, which it actually gets included more now, but it was slept on for a very long time. And this is Wormhole. And this is the key reason, I think, why this deck can still be classified as the best deck in the game. Usually it's either to level or rewrite by people. And why this deck can actually keep up with how the game creeped over the last year. This basically says you can bounce 2 front row characters from your opponent. And why this is relevant is because the game shifted towards more of a focus on early plays. First, it was just one early play, protected one early play. Then it was answers to the one early play. Then, because people played answers to the one early play, people started trying to field 2 early plays. Then and now what we see is that a lot of decks are trying to be able to deal with double resolved early plays, which is especially relevant against Vivid Strike and ReZero. Is there anything? And Railgun, in a sense, if Railgun goes for a double early play. And what this does is it basically not only gives you a tempo swing in that you don't have to crash your characters if you can't reverse them. You also get you can manipulate soul counts. You get direct swings. And for example, something like the Railgun early play. The opponent just spent 2 stock to attack with the 2 soul character for 1 turn. And that's for each early play that they play. If the early play, or like basically everything that doesn't have a really strong come into play ability just gets hosed by this hard. And another good example, like the Kuro from Ildia, that's -2 soul, and the Kotri from Rewrite, that's -2 soul. This card just crushes these cards because you just remove them from field, and it allows you to basically keep up in damage, to have a better field presence, to manipulate soul counts, to make your opponent play a more fair game because they're afraid of just getting blown out by this. They don't want to spend more stock. And so that way you have an easier time to just deal with the field and not fall behind on the field. But if they actually go for their double early play plan or whatever, and you bounce both of them, that sets them back by a ton. Yeah, and like one reason why I decided to talk about this list in particular is because she's only playing 1 wormhole. And in general, I have the stance that if you play an event, it's gotta be powerful enough that you want 2 copies. Because if you play the event 1 copy, you're not even gonna see it half your games. If you play 2 copies, you'll see like probably 7 out of 10 games by the time you hit level 2 or level 3. Obviously depends on the deck in terms of draw power or whatever, but these are just like base numbers you can base your thinking around. If you play an event and you don't want to, and you're committing slots to this event, and if you don't see this event consistently, then why are you? If you don't feel the event is good enough that you want to see it most games, then why are you putting it in your deck? Because if you're just playing 1 copy, chances are in the matchups where you need it, you're not gonna draw it, and that just is basically a waste of a slot. Playing characters is one of these fine because you can just search them out. You can't search out events, you actually have to draw into them. So playing 1 copy of an event just seems very irrational to me. Either you think the event is good enough that you want 2 copies and that you want to see it in most games, or you just don't think it's good enough and you just cut it. By the way, I'm obviously on the side that this card is very powerful and they should run 2 copies. I've even seen a list run 3 copies, which I think is a bit excessive, but like if you think that this card is really good against almost every deck in your meta, then you can just play 3 copies and see it basically every game. Yeah, the reason why this deck is still strong is obviously like a lot of these tools that work together, like the Climax combo engine, your extremely strong uninteractable level 3. Like your opponent actually can't do anything about Yami's finishing. There is 1 card, there's the red compass thing from Cinderella Girls, because that one doesn't target. But since Yami is hexproof, and since Yami works well against compression, there's just really not anything you can do against her. Okay. Switching to my list and like the differences, I guess. Main difference is obviously the 2 wormhole. in general, the difference is like I play 4 of the rune. I cut 2 of the 1/0 Ellies. Instead, I play 1 Pucci Mikan and 1 more of the 3/2 Mikan. And I play 1 less of the 2/1 anti-level 3 Mea and play, red, 1 more Wormhole. Level 0 count is the same. I'm playing 1 less Drop Searcher and no of the Chaser. And instead run 4 of the rune. So what this card does is, first ability, it gives each of your other 1/0 Kyokos, which is a specific card, 1k. This line of text is irrelevant. And when it gets front attacked, important for this is before trigger. So tell the opponent to declare attack first and not immediately flip the trigger, because you'll have to think about whether you want to resolve this effect. You pay 1 and bounce this to hand, and then you can summon a 1/0 Kyoko from your hand to the defending position. Obviously, this deck is not running the Kyoko. I'm later going to talk about a deck that does. People who are not in the know will still sometimes randomly side this card, which is just a really good scenario because it's just plussed for nothing. But even if they don't side the card, you can pay 1 to plus. And what this card allows you to do is you can field 2-3 characters at level 0 without actually fearing that you're losing your hand. Because you can just field this, attack, and then bounce it back for the stock that this card made. That you could only play because you had this card. You can only play this character because you had this card, because it just replaces itself immediately. And what this playing down of this character does, this attacking ones, not only are you the first that basically attacks into the opponent, so you're gaining a sole advantage there, but because your slot is full with this character, the opponent has to declare a front attack while this bounces to hand. So you're actually taking 1 less damage, and you're dealing 1 more damage at level 0, which just creates a damage swing that you can't neglect in a deck like this that absolutely wants to be a damage parity. And if it's a damage parity, you basically can't lose. Well, you can lose, like, things change, but this deck, if it's a damage parity, you're likely to win. And this card allows you to do that. And not only that, this just keeps being an attacker throughout the game. If you play a Climax inside a deck, then you can always just have a pay 1 plus, which is really powerful. And what this also does is it plays around on reverse combos, and on reverse combos are getting more common again. So this is an attacker. You can even, like, if you field 3 of this, like, this is just a really stupid scenario, but you could bounce each one of them and your opponent will never get an on-reverse combo off. If they only have 2, and you have 2 of this on the field, they won't get an on-reverse combo off, blah, blah, blah. Which is a very powerful effect, and something, actually first started looking at this card when I saw it in an Australian video of some locals, because I actually didn't know this card existed for like 3-4 months after the set came out. And then I started proclaiming to everyone, fuck, this card is broken. And one of the reasons why I actually started including this is because I was afraid of Zweiform last year. Because I thought Zweiform was like the only deck that had a good matchup against Slowbrew. Because not only do you feed Zweiform easy reverses, you also can't money counter them. So you're actually just not well positioned against the Zweiform finisher at all. And this actually allows you to play a bit around it because it denies them the reverse. Yes. So a lot of good things about this card that basically enable this deck to still do what it does and still be powerful, despite the fact that the last set came out like 18 months ago. The reason why I'm not playing more Elias is because I think this is like the weakest card of the deck. It's just to fill a beater slot so that you actually do something at level 1 and don't feel like worse cards. You could actually like cut 1 more of this or cut this altogether and just play more plusing zeros, like play actual beaters at 0. I think that's fine. I still like having the option of like having access to this. If you hit it behind like 2 supports, the 1/1 and the 5 of it, and the anti-cell, which is like 7/5 with counter it's 9/5, is pretty big. So that's okay. And you're playing 1 copy of the Pucci army because it's basically fetchable with the event. So the event just it allows you to toolbox better with the event, because most of the time you know what you're searching for with transformation, with housework. You're searching either the 1/0 combo or you're searching the brainstorm. In some very weird cases, he'll search the anti-salvage, but it's usually pretty rare. The other transformation actually doesn't have that many great targets for your level 1 specifically. And this just allows you to fetch a level 1 beater, because it's transformation trait. Yeah, one copy of the Mea. I was playing the Mekon for the longest time, but I think that the more power on your turn, on your own turn, is more important now than the power on the opponent's turn. I'm playing one more healer because I think healing down to 3-0 or 3-1 is just really good against a lot of decks right now, including this deck. And I don't want to lose this turn early trigger and then never have this card again. This is basically just a hedge for me against losing this card early, so that I always have access to it, and somewhat of a hedge against Kemono, because against Kemono, this is the only level 3 that impacts the board, I guess. It's actually not true, because Yami is still hexproof, so the trap counter doesn't work, and she's still drawing new money counter, which is a really good card against them. But this is just... heals are good in this game. Not broken, but good. And the event suit is the same, except I'm running 2 wormhole because of reasons I explained in the other deck. So I think one reason why you still want to play this deck, apart from just pure strength, is that if you look at all of these decks, there aren't really any actually bad matchups for you. Those just don't really exist. And this basically leads to you having an even matchup against the field can be something that's desirable. Or not even, you're actually favored against most of these decks. So while you might have a lower baseline power level than some other decks, for example, Rewrite, or I don't know, what's even higher base power level? Sorry. By the way, here's a tier list thing. Or Little Busters is higher base power level, or yeah, maybe Adamas. I don't know, whatever you think. This is just a very consistent deck that can go for a 2-turn kill, which is not something this. That's always a powerful thing to do if you don't need to go all in 1 turn and can actually play over multiple turns. And this also just doesn't have any obvious weaknesses. Obviously, anti-burn sucks because it turns off your finisher, but you still have a good level 1 game plan. You can still heal, you still have money counter, you still can disrupt the opponent with Wormhole. You still have a functioning deck, unlike something like Kaleidoscope or Puyo, which just get completely blanked by anti-burn. Yeah, good deck. Was always underplayed. For some reason, it's not underplayed 1 year after it came out. I'm not sure. Okay, now for the more spicy builds. Let's talk about this first. This deck is built around the combo of the 0/0 Stock Bomb. It has pay 1, clock this card to summon a level 1 Yami from your deck. The Stock Soul. So if you can actually go turn 1, play the Stock Soul, and just immediately do the combo, because the Stock Soul gives you the stock and this just clocks itself. And then you have turn 1, 7k 2 soul clock on core beater, which is stupid. Yeah, the rest of the deck is basically maximizing this combo and the advantage you can get from doing this combo. If you're at what this combo is supposed to do is basically give you a damage lead, because you're fielding 2 soul beaters and encoreable 2 soul beaters starting from level 0 or level 1, depending on if you get the combo off or not. And if you're ahead, Yami is obviously even better. This deck is built around maximizing that. And for that reason, we're not playing the Shimakaze combo, obviously. So we have to have some other ways to grab the Yami to hand. One of those is this Bonder. It's just a pay 1 bond to Yami. You don't play this usually because it's off trade, and if you don't have full trade characters, the Yami actually loses hexproof, which is really hurtful. But if you just... I'm getting a call. I'll just answer this. I just call the person back a bit later and text them that I need to do this thing. I'll just quickly finish up this video. Sorry. Where was I? Okay, the damage advantage is good. So you build it around maximizing back. This fetches the Yami. And if you just play this, not only the Yami gets hurt by this, but also the Shimakaze combo needs full field of your on trade. So because you're not playing the Shimakaze combo, you can you're allowed to field this early and still and not get that much of a drawback and just pay 1 to plus this to get your Yami in hand. Brainstorm thing is the same. Drop Searcher is just a hedge because you're searching less because you're not playing Shimakaze. And the funny thing about this deck is that you can actually use the rune, and when people front it, because they don't expect the Kyoko, you actually run the Kyoko in this deck. So you can randomly like punk opponents and actually get them and kill their character with whatever they attack. And this also supports the Kyoko by 1k, so you're actually getting 1075 beaters if this is just on the field in the back row or something. You're playing the hand-on core support still, because first of all it's good for your level 3, and second of all, at level 2 you don't really want to clock on core this anymore. But you can still hand on core it because it's just 2 soul beater. So the card fills double function in this. And you're playing 4 counters because this is actually just 7k base. And people can beat over that very easily now. So counters help you not have to take a clock damage every turn. And if you counter a lane, you actually like already swing for 2 with this, you swing for 2 with the open lane. So you're actually dealing a lot of soul damage. Level 3 is the same Yamis, as always good. And I'm playing 2 of the trial deck heal because I don't really want to level the Brainstorm because it's such a good card and you're not playing enough of the anti-salvage to consistently get it in the level zone. So I'm just playing this as a hedge against not needing to have a green in my level for my heals. And same event suit because of aforementioned reasons. And then we have Yami Nemesis, which is not actually like running the Nemesis combo, but it's running the Nemesis resonance engine, which is very powerful tools. These cards are the same as always. Well, the Drop Searcher actually is a bit different because the Drop Searcher, I'm playing 2 copies in this deck because it fetches the Nemesis and you need the Nemesis for the resonance thing. So while I'm only running 2 Nemesis, I'm actually sort of running 4 because this fetches it, and then you still have the event to also fetch the Nemesis. Yes. Basically, the payoffs for this deck are, first of all, the Mea, which is stupid card. You can resonance it at the beginning of climax phase, and this gains a soul with the 3/2 Nemesis. And if you attack with it, if the damage this deals is cancelled, this goes to stock. So either your opponent takes an extra soul damage, or you get an extra stock. That's really good. I love this card. And then you have the Nemesis back row, which is 1k to center on your turn. And you can resonance it, pay 1 at the beginning of climax phase. Resonance to level 3, obviously. And you can check top 4 and add a transformation or Sweets? Tango? I'm not sure what Nemesis trait is, but whatever. You can add a transformation character to hand. So this just allows you to Amagi every turn and like spend the stock that you get from this actually to get more pluses. It's just a really good engine to keep going. And then the same core, 4 of the Shimakaze combo, 2 of the Hana core support, 2 of the counter. I actually probably just forgot about changing this to the Mea. Sorry. This should probably be the Mea. I guess you can also run the Mikan because you're not running that high of a green count, and you need green at level 1 for your climax combo. And yeah, two Mikan. This runs the Mikan and not the healer, the yellow healer, because while the yellow healer is grabbable from the Nemesis, the green healer is green, and you need green at level 1 for a combo while you don't need it in another deck. So yeah, basically, the payoff for this are these 2 cards. it's something fun to try. I think like the standard meta version is the best version of the deck, but these are like a bit different. If you want to try these, and they're both actually good decks still. So yeah, that's this week for now. And sorry that I needed to hurry at the end here, but yeah, see you next week and tell me what you want me to change or improve, or if this sucked, or if you love anime. I don't know. See you next week.